If you've spent time browsing Ravelry or knitting Instagram, you've likely seen these sleek, minimalist designs. Soft neutrals, thoughtful shapes, a modern Nordic aesthetic. I'm talking about My Favourite Things Knitwear, and more specifically, the woman behind it, Luise Rasmussen. This is sweater number 28, and it is one of the most satisfying sweaters that I've ever knitted, and it won't be the last. Because once you've knitted a sweater by My Favourite Things Knitwear, you simply have to knit another one. So today I want to introduce you to the woman behind the brand, Luise Rasmussen, and take a closer look at how My Favourite Things Knitwear became one of the most beloved labels in the modern knitting world. We'll talk about her design philosophy, the patterns that made her famous, and why her quiet aesthetic resonates so deeply with knitters around the world. By the end of this video, you will understand why knitters, including me, keep coming back for just one more of her patterns. Luise is a trained psychologist, but for over a decade she has worked in the Danish fashion industry, helping grow well-known brands before launching My Favourite Things Knitwear in 2019. She launched the brand out of frustration with fast fashion and an inner desire to create her own handmade wardrobe using her fashion design skills. Luise says, "After more than a decade in the fashion industry, I experienced a saturation of overconsumption and mass production. I felt a need to go back to my roots, crafting my wardrobe with my own hands. I was frustrated to see how collections became outdated almost before they hit the stores and wanted to create something more long-lasting. This is how the idea of My Favourite Things Knitwear came to life. I've taken the advantage of many years of experience within fashion and design and created a brand of timeless knitwear without an expiry date." In a recent interview with Eld for de Merne, a Danish women's magazine that translates to everything for the ladies, Luise opened up about childhood summers and life-shaping memories, revealing a deep connection to calmness, nature, and intention. She describes her brand as minimal and intentional. No flashy marketing, just curated knitwear. Luise wanted to create timeless wardrobe favorites that last beyond a season. Simple, aesthetically pleasing pieces with a perfect fit. At My Favourite Things Knitwear, you'll find knitting patterns at all different stages of difficulty. The patterns are written in a precise and straightforward way, making My Favourite Things Knitwear a great choice for both brand new and more experienced knitters. The wide range of patterns allows you to develop your personal knitting skills elevate to the next level. Luise often uses numeric pattern names like sweater number 28 or 12, for example, reinforcing the minimalist identity and keeping the focus on the design. She favors natural fibers like mohair, alpaca or merino, often ones with a luxurious drape. Her silhouettes lean minimal yet nuanced. Raglan sleeves, basic stitch patterns, high necklines, a quiet but refined complexity. My Favourite Things Knitwear's patterns are available in a number of different languages: English, Danish, Swedish, German, Spanish, and lots more to emphasize her global voice in the knitting industry. Let's have a look at a couple of her beautiful patterns now, and we are going to start with the one that I am wearing right now, which is probably my favorite sweater of all time. This is the sweater number 28, and it is a boxy, oversized sweater that features a high neckline and clean lines. I knitted holding together two different yarns, one strand of a lace-weight cashmere yarn that comes from an old sweater that belonged to my father-in-law that I unraveled, and the other yarn is a luxurious blend of alpaca, silk and cashmere from Hill Country Weavers called HCWACL. This is for sure one of my most worn sweaters. It is stylish, warm and effortlessly wearable. To me, it looks modern and elegant while also being so comfortable to wear at the same time. I feel like it has a very understated, sophisticated vibe to it, and let me tell you, it was a joy to knit as well. The pattern instructions are very clear and you alternate between these ribbed sections and these garter sections all throughout the sweater. So if you are more of a beginner knitter looking for a suitable sweater pattern for you to knit, if you know how to knit and purl, you can definitely make this sweater. Let's have a look at a different pattern now. This is sweater number 12. And I hope you will be able to tell that this one is a lot more fitted and it features this all over broken rib. In my opinion, this makes the sweater look intricate, but it is also very approachable. The all over ribbing makes for a very flattering fit. It is another very straightforward design. You start from the top and knit down. The sweater features some raglan increases and the all over broken rib like I already mentioned. The yarn that I used to knit this sweater was very kindly gifted to me by the company, so thank you very much. It is Nakyang Yarn A Cashmere, which is a luxurious blend of merino, alpaca and wool. If you're interested in the exact colorway names, I am going to put them in the description box below, along with everything else that I'm mentioning in this video. And the third pattern by My Favourite Things Knitwear that I have made so far is the Levitate Wrap. I hope you'll be able to see it in all of its glory. It is this oversized boxy wrap cardigan. This one is a drop shoulder design, but unfortunately my version didn't turn out quite how I expected. I made my cardigan with a thinner yarn and a different gauge, and therefore it turned out smaller than the measurements that are indicated in the pattern for the smallest size. And especially for the sleeves, they turned out just a little bit too small for me. Not a fault of the pattern at all, that's totally on me. But since the yarn is so lovely, I'm thinking about unraveling and reknitting this one. And the yarn that I used to knit this cardigan is Snevnuk by Kamarose, and it is a very beautiful blend of alpaca, merino and cotton. But since My Favourite Things Knitwear has more than 100 knitting patterns in her portfolio, I wanted to show you just a couple more and hopefully inspire you to consider knitting one of her beautiful patterns in the future. For example, her T number 1 looks like a wonderful wardrobe staple to me. The clean, elegant lines look modern yet classic and beautifully understated. It has a loose fit and features those prominent saddle shoulders. The neat neckline and folded edges create a feminine contrast to an otherwise simplistic style. Another beautiful design is the cardigan number 10 that was released in April of 2025. It has a classic silhouette and is worked from the top down. The design features a subtle waist shaping, a deep V-neck and extra wide sleeves. A unique shoulder construction made using the contiguous method and shows a great fit. The double knitted front band is of course a lot of work to do, but I feel like it gives the cardigan an elevated, polished look. And if you like the look of the sweater number 28, the one that I am wearing, you might also enjoy the sweater number 18. It's also an oversized sweater with a textured pattern consisting of knit and purl stitches, and it also features those dropped shoulders and a boxy fit. Louise is everybody's darling because she blends approachability with design integrity. Her patterns are written in a very clear and concise way, and I feel like she has a very unique design aesthetic that shines through every pattern so that you unmistakably recognize her patterns when you see them, even without knowing that they are from her. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to quickly touch on some more controversial topics with regards to My Favourite Things Knitwear. These aren't any full-blown controversies, but I feel like it is important when we look at a designer in this kind of format that we look at both the praise and the more critical voices. A while back there was a discussion going on about a different designer releasing a pattern that looked very similar to her sweater number 14 V-neck. So on the left you can see the sweater number 14, which was released in April of 2021. And on the right you can see the other sweater design that was released in February of 2023. This is the Harlow sweater V-neck by Kadri. But although there was a discussion among knitters going on about this topic, I could not find any public statement from Luise herself about this situation. I feel like it might have been more of a behind the scenes dispute rather than a full-blown public discussion. Another frequent point of debate is the fact that Luise often uses numeric pattern names, like the sweater number 28, for example. Some knitters find this very confusing, while others are convinced that this is just in line with her minimalistic vibe. And I totally get both sides here. I find that the numeric pattern names make her instantly recognizable as a brand, but on the other hand, I totally get it that the sweaters that only differentiated by numbers can be a bit harder to recognize. Some people also poke fun at how deep the armholes are and how oversized the fit of her sweaters often is. And in addition, she quite often also uses a strand of a silk mohair yarn or a different lace weight yarn held together with another yarn in her designs. Personally, I think this is more of an ongoing trend in the knitting world in general and less specific to My Favorite Things Knitwear. I totally get it if you are not into this soft, fuzzy look of mohair, or maybe you are even sensitive to it. This is probably not really your vibe, but for other people that is exactly what they are looking for in a pattern. So overall, these are more style and preference discussions, but I nevertheless wanted to mention them so that you get the full picture. And if you have anything to add to this discussion, be it positive or more critical, please feel free to share in the comments. There is something profoundly satisfying about knitting pieces that feel high quality, timeless, and that you can wear for years and years to come, and that you also feel comfortable and confident in once you put them on. And that is the essence of My Favorite Things Knitwear. Let me know in the comments if you have knitted a pattern of My Favorite Things Knitwear yet, or which one you are excited to try out next. And if you enjoyed this designer deep dive, I recommend that you watch the one about petite knit next, or any other video in my Knitting Icons series. See you next time. Happy knitting. Bye guys.